اهلا بيكم اعزائي طلبه وطالبات الصف الثالث الاعدادي في البارت 2 من حلقه الساينس تحت رعايه واشراف وزاره التربيه والتعليم. Now we are going to complete what we said before about the types of reproduction, and we mentioned that we have two main types, either asexual and the sexual reproduction, and we started in the previous episode the three main types of them, either reproduction by binary fission and reproduction by budding and regeneration. Today we are going to complete the next types, which are by sporangia أو sporangium أو reproduction by spore propagation. What's meant at the beginning بكلمة spore؟ spore means جرثومة أو جراثيم أو حاجة بتسبب حاجات مش لطيفة على spoiling الفود or spoiling الفروتس or whatever. متهيألي انتوا you know it now. طيب what's meant by reproduction by spore propagation? As I said before, we have to start your definition by it's a type of asexual reproduction in which some fungi and algae. يعني ايه fungi؟ fungi اللي هي الحاجات اللي بتسبب العفن like which is found on the bread or in types of fruit بنسميها fungi or الالجي زي ما said before وقلت لكم معنى الالجي قبل كده by producing spores that I said before. طيب هي it occurs فين؟ هي it occurs in the bread mold and mushroom. I said البريد mold ده نوع من السبورز اللي بيعيش على البريد. Sometimes if you leave your sandwiches في البلاستيك باج بتاعتها and you leave it in your bag for 2 or 3 days, if you open it you find that it's have a very very bad smell and it has a green parts كده على التوست او على البريد بتاعك. طب ده ايه؟ ده kind of living organisms عمل ايه؟ عمل asexual reproduction on your food وبوظه. اوكي؟ طيب يبقى ايه هو النوع دوت؟ اسمه bread mold fungus. fungus يعني نوع من العفن وده طبعا نوع من انواع من asexual reproduction. like بيحصل في البريد mold fungus or بيحصل في المشروم. طب let's see on the board how the steps of the formation of this bread mold fungus. Let's see the formation of spores on the bread mold fungus. This is the shape of the bread after the formation of the spores of the bread mold fungus. طب I said before this is the sporangia. ده تكبير أو magnifying shape للسبورانجيا. هنشوف الشكل إيه اللي بيحصل. Reproduction by formation of the spores. هنشوف أول step بتحصل إيه how does the reproduction by spore propagation occur. قلت أدي التوست أو العيش اللي سبناه لفترة في حتة very hot and في plastic bag. What happens at the beginning the spore found in the bread. السبورز هي دي السبورز الموجودة على البريد of mold fungus inside a special organ which is called sporangium. هي دي اسمها السبورانجيوم والبلورال بتاعها sporangia يعني الكتير منهم اسمهم sporangia. one of them is called sporangium. حصل ايه بقى السبورانجيوم ديت؟ حصل لها it will be rupture. What's meant by rupture؟ rupture يعني بتنفجر بتتفتح ويطلع منها السبورز. عشان كده بنقول النوع من الريبرودكشن by spore propagation انتشار السبورز. This is the spores that start to rupture and coming out from the sporangium. طيب السبور دي هتعمل ايه؟ to fall down on the other part of the bread which is very fresh وكانش بايظ ولا حاجة, then it find a media, then it will be produced and forming a new broad mold fungus. وهنشوف الشكل ازاي. يبقى when the spore fall down in another part and the suitable environment. I said يعني ايه suitable environment؟ طبعا ده مش هيحصل في refrigerator لان refrigerators بتkill the spores. هيحصل في very hot part plastic bag inside your bag. فهيحصل الفنجس هيبتدي يحصل له asexual reproduction by spore formation. So طب تعالوا كده قولوا لي what type of cell division اللي حصل هنا؟ Yes, it's a mitotic cell division. ليه؟ عشان عمل increasing to the number of the cell forming a new identical fungus cells. عملت new cells كلها identical to the mom to the parent cell. يبقى نوع هنا ايه؟ mitosis. So it's a type of asexual reproduction. طيب here is the part of the formation by spores. Finally, the last one of those types of reproduction, asexual reproduction, is the reproduction by vegetative reproduction. I said vegetative reproduction and the word vegetative coming for only the plants. طب تعالوا نشوف كده ايه اللي بيحصل في البلانتس. البلانتس here ممكن تعمل ايه عشان تعمل asexual reproduction. All of you know that the plants reproduce by formation of seeds. حد هيقول لي البلانت لما بيعوز يكبر بنحط السيد في السويل and it will grow up and forming new individual, new plant. لا، هنا اللي بتكلم عليه نوع تاني خالص، هو asexual reproduction called vegetative reproduction by other parts of the plant غير السيدز، يعني by other parts of the plants except the seeds. يبقى بايه؟ like بالليفز، بالروتس، بالايفن الستم. طب هنشوف ازاي. sometimes بتلاقي البوتيتو عندك في البيت بتطلع منها بادز صغننه وبتطلع new individuals and new buds for potato. دي نوع من الفيجيتيف reproduction. طب ايه نوع الديفيجن هير؟ it's a mitotic division by mitosis. طب حصل بسيدز؟ لا خالص، ما حصلش بالسيد، ده حصل في الستم او بالليفز او even بال any parts roots any part. طيب what is the importance of this part of type of vegetative reproduction؟ الساينتست بدأوا يستعملوا الحاجة الطبيعية اللي خلقت ربنا اللي بتحصل دي، ان مش لازم يبقى في seed to get a new individual، ممكن من roots، ممكن من leaves، ممكن من even stem، وبدأوا يعملوا حاجة اسمها tissue culture. يعني ايه tissue culture؟ هنشوف دلوقتي معناها. طيب يبقى vegetative reproduction happen with which type of cell division? by mitosis. طيب تعالوا نشوف هنا in the shape. يبقى لما اقول لك what's meant by vegetative reproduction, it's a type of asexual reproduction that occurs in the plant without needing a seed. You have to mention this word لأن من غيرها يبقى مش complete definition. without needs a seed. طب by what? by stem, by leaves, by roots. طيب it occurs in what? as you see here in the picture, in types of like potato, many types of animals without needing any seeds. طيب it produce a new individual. طيب what about the shape بتاعها؟ identical and similar to their parents because it's undergo mitotic division. طيب how does vegetative reproduction ده بيحصل ازاي؟ يا اما naturally يا اما artificially as I said before. طب naturally ازاي؟ ان part some من الليفز او من الفروتس او من الستامز او من الروت او من الليف بتعمل ايه؟ بتبروديوس another plant، يبقى عملت بالناتشرال. طب artificial how؟ as I said قلت الناس اللي بيشتغلوا في الاجريكلتشر في الزراعه بداوا يستخدموا تكنيك اسمه tissue culturing، انه بتدخل الهيومن انه يطلعوا من البلانت ده من بارتس تانية غير السيدز another part of the plant. طيب يبقى finally now we finished the first type of the reproduction which is asexual reproduction. طيب let's go بقى to the second type which is happen in all living individuals and human being and animals in the higher living organisms which is sexual reproduction. طيب قبل ما اتكلم على السكشوال ريبرودكشن I said before ان احنا عندنا two types of cell division واتكلمنا عليهم بالتفصيل either mitosis and meiosis. طب let's think كده now كلنا نفكر كده شويه، يبقى which type of cell division هيبقى related للسكشوال reproduction؟ هنشوف كده مع بعض ونفكر. طيب ايه هو السكشوال reproduction؟ Sexual reproduction, it's a kind of reproduction that happens commonly in most higher living organisms. If I said higher living organisms, يعني human, يعني animals, بس like the dogs, like the cats, like كل أنواع ال higher living organisms. طيب هي بتحصل between إيه؟ هنا as I said before في ال asexual only one living organisms. طب here في السكشوال reproduction it happens by two parent cells. لازم يبقى عندي male and female to make the sexual reproduction. يبقى the first condition here in the formation of sexual reproduction is the presence of male and female. طيب السexual reproduction depends on male and female. طب ايه اللي بيحصل during this sexual reproduction؟ عندي two main processes هي اللي بتتحكم في السexual reproduction. Either the first process اسمها formation of gametes and the second process is fertilization. يبقى عندي two processes, either formation of gametes and the second process is called fertilization. يبقى let's sum up كده نشوف يعني ايه كلمة sexual reproduction لما يجي لي define sexual reproduction. It's a process happens in living organisms by which it produces new individuals. طيب تعالوا نقف هنا حاجة بسيطة. هتقولي طب ما the same definition اللي قلناه في الاسexual. لا, here it's completely different. هل ال new individual typical similar to their parents؟ يعني انت copy paste من بابي او مامي؟ لا طبعا، في واخد صفات من الفاذر and صفات من المother. طب here يبقى the new individual is not typically identical to the parents. في completely differences between them. طيب it occurs فين؟ It occurs as I said before in most multicellular higher living organisms. multicellular يعني عندها more than one cell، وhigher عشان هي مرتقية شوية مش primitive like we said before في الexamples اللي فاتت. هنا بتحصل فين؟ في طبعا في animals and في human. as I said in one condition the presence of either male and female and the new individual are not typical to their parents. طيب هنشوف هنا ايه properties of the sexual reproduction. أول حاجة as I said before it occurs between two parent cells، لازم male and female. دي أول حاجة. Number two, it takes place by special reproductive systems or organs. يعني لازم يبقى الميل والفيميل have certain reproductive system to maintain them to make this sexual reproduction. يبقى لازم وجود reproductive system and reproductive organs. And I said before the reproductive organs is responsible for the formation of the gametes قبل كده, when today we are going to complete it as we said before. طيب the third property here, it takes place by, أنا سبتكم تفكروا شوية تفتكروا by which type of cell division. Yes, of course, by meiosis, not mitosis here. Meiosis division. يبقى it takes place by meiosis division. طيب the third or the fourth one. Does it keep the genetic properties of the same parents? Of course not. I said the new individuals having many different genetic properties as coming from the male and the females, so they have their own property، شكل خاص بيه هو مش typical من البيرنتس بتاعته. طب عندي هنا a very important give reason for in this part, which is why the sexual reproduction give a new individual have a different genetic structure than their parents. نفتكر كده مع بعض في a very important phenomena أو process بتحصل during the meiosis division, which is called crossing over phenomena that I explained it before and I'm going to repeat it now, which is happening at the end of prophase 1. قلنا في نهاية الميوزس at the end of prophase 1 بتحصل crossing over phenomena. Let's memorize it كده. قلنا بتحصل during formation of gametes. This is the picture of the formation of the chromosomes and the crossing over phenomena. I said ال two homologous chromosomes بيقربوا من بعض as you see here in the picture. ال inner part of the chromosomes يبتدوا يعملوا crossing على بعض زي as you see here in the picture. So the two ends of the inner chromatids اللي مقربين من بعض ال inner اللي هم اللي جوه بيبتدوا يعملوا crossing over, so هيتبادلوا كل واحد منهم exchange a part of the inner chromatid. ودي المهمة بتاعت الكروسنج phenomena, crossing over phenomena, exchanging of the inner part of the chromatids, the inner part of the chromatids. طيب هل الانر chromatids دول البارت دي شايله properties؟ yes of course شايله properties من الفاذر، ده كروموزوم من الفاذر وانذر كروموزوم من المذر. so الجزء اللي بيحصل فيه crossing over phenomena ديت بيحصل فيها ايه؟ بيبدلوا البروبرتيز. so لما بيفكوا من بعض يبتدي يبقى الكروموزوم شايل بارت من الفاذر and بارت من المذر. so عشان كده انت شبه الاثنين، مش كوبي بيست من حد معين. you have your own genetic properties, you have your own shape, لون الشعر, ال eyes and so on. This is coming from a crossing over phenomena as you see here in the picture. وهقولها تاني, it's a very important process. It's a process by exchanging of a part of the inner chromatids. يعملوا تبادل, so they exchange the genetic information or the genetic traits. So here ده السبب اللي على أساسه sexual reproduction in individuals coming from the sexual reproduction have their own genetic properties not identical to their parents. طيب يبقى هنا summary of this part that the old offspring resulted from the sexual reproduction as you see here in the picture, getting some of the genetic trait from the male and other from the female. وده اللي بيعمل لنا حاجة اسمها التنوع والاختلاف في الأشكال بتاعتنا. So the resulted offspring have their own genetic properties. طيب as I said before that the sexual reproduction depends on two main processes in the formation of the sexual reproduction. The first one is the formation of gametes, and number two is the fertilization. Let's go and see together مع بعض how we can draw or we can write the formation of gametes. Let's see now the formation of gametes. Either I said before that the sexual reproduction formed by two processes, either formation of gametes and fertilization. Let's start with the formation of gametes. طب أنا قلت قبل كده sexual reproduction should be happen with the individual that having systems, reproductive system and reproductive organs. طب the reproductive organs, let's go see and في human being is either testes in the male and ovaries in the female. طب let's see what happens inside the reproductive organs of let's see ovaries or testes. This is the ovary or testes, okay, containing number of chromosomes which is the same number of the chromosomes in any somatic cells, diploid number of chromosomes. يبقى here it's a diploid number of chromosomes 2n. What happens here? هيحصل نوع من الميوزز. الميوزز 1 and I have meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. في reproductive cells it happens number 1 meiosis 2. يحصل ايه نتيجة الميوزس 2 الميوزس 1؟ formation of gametes. formation of gametes either لو انا بتكلم على دلوقتي التستس يبقى هيعمل لي الجاميتس are sperms. لو ovaries هتديني ova. تعالوا نشوف كده بميوزس 1. what happens? each one of those cells producing gametes containing haploid number of chromosomes. الواحدة هتديني 2 cells, each of them containing haploid, here diploid, here haploid number of chromosomes. The haploid number of chromosomes in the gametes, and I said دول اسمهم ايه؟ دول الجاميتس. طيب تاني step أو the meiosis 2 اللي بيحصل في meiosis 2 those cells undergo meiosis 2 هيحصل ايه؟ meiosis 2. Here each one of those cells producing another cells, another gametes, which is مجرد زيادة في counting of the number of the gametes. بدأت تزيد عدد الجاميتس. بقى عندي من كل one cell تديني another 2 cells forming 4 gametes. each one containing what? Containing haploid number of chromosomes as this ones. Okay, يبقى here في meiosis 2 just ان احنا increase the number of the gametes and it contains the same haploid number of chromosomes. لو ديت over طلع من الاوفرز or like لو ممكن يبقى sperms coming from the tests. So here the gametes are ready for the second steps which is called fertilization. يبقى here is the first step of the sexual reproduction which is formation of gametes either ovum or sperms containing the haploid number of chromosomes which is N. Let's go and see the second step which is fertilization. Now, after we explain the formation of gametes, which is the first step of the sexual reproduction, we go now to explain the second step, which is the fertilization. Here in the first step, كانت sperms ready and the ovum are ready for the fertilization. يبقى fertilization ده very easy is a combination between the sperms from the male and the ova from the female to produce the zygote which is ايه هو الزيجوت ده بداية الخلق بتاع البيبي اللي هو من السبيرم and الأوفا. يبقى fertilization process is a combination يعني fusion between male gametes which is the sperm and female gametes which is the ova لو اتكلمنا على الhuman or the animals which containing each one of them, as I said before, containing how many number of chromosomes? N, which is haploid number of chromosomes, يعني نص عدد الكروموسومز. So, after the fusion هبقى عندي ايه 2N which is the number, complete number of the chromosomes which is found in the baby. طب forming what? Forming zygote. طب الزيجوت ده بيفضل ايه؟ الزيجوت ده containing genetic information أو genetic properties from both male and female. الهابلويد اللي جاي من الميل شايل جزء من الجينز and الهابلويد اللي جاي من الفيميل جاي بقية الجيناتيك information to combination of together in the zygote forming a new individual has its own property, its own genetic information. طب what's meant by zygote؟ هو النتيجة من كده. تعالوا نشوف ايه هو الزيجوت. الزيجوت is the cell، محدش يقول ان الزيجوت هو البيبي، الزيجوت هو السيل that produced due to the combination of both sperm and ova. As you see here in the picture الأوفا مع السبيرم بدأت تكون لي الزيجوت. يبقى الزيجوت ده عبارة عن سيل. طيب this cell undergo many mitotic division عشان يكبر وتبقى بيبي، يبقى بيتعرض ل which type of division? Mitosis, just increasing in the number. As you see here in the picture, here the sperm from the male after the meiosis and the sperm containing haploid number of the chromosomes and as you see in the picture. طب if there is a human being يبقى how many؟ يبقى 23 chromosomes are in the sperm from the male. طيب fuses with how many chromosomes? 23 chromosomes in the ova of the females. الovum from the females containing another 23. طيب حصل الفرتلايزيشن as you see here in the picture. The sperm fuses with the ovum forming zygote. طب let's count 23 plus 23 يبقى الزيجوت containing how many? 46 chromosomes carrying all the genetic properties of both male and female. طيب الزيجوت ده هيفضل زي ما هو بيبي؟ لا، undergo mitosis يعني cell division, other cell division to be divided and increasing in size as you see here. بس كل cell بتديفايد containing how many؟ 46 chromosomes. لأن here it's mitosis بيحافظ على diploid number of chromosome till forming and the growth of this nice baby as you see here in the picture. طيب here يبقى السكشوال reproduction بيعمل لي a very important property مهمة جدا، بيعمل لي حاجة اسمها genetic variation. What's meant by genetic variation؟ بص كده، هل انت شبه بابا قوي، شبه اخوك قوي، شبه انت شبهه بس انت typical شبه اخوك؟ لا، يبقى كل واحد هنا عندنا variation اختلاف. we are different from each other. ودي حكمة ربنا سبحانه وتعالى ان احنا نبقى different، ما نبقاش copy paste from each other, and this is called the genetic variation. يبقى here ليه في genetic variation among living organisms؟ ببساطة جدا ده very important question. هقول لأن ال offsprings coming from two parents either male and female, and each one of them has its own properties. So if these properties combine together, they form an offspring with another new genetic information أو genetic traits أو genetic properties، وده بيحافظ على ال genetic variation. So ده بيحصل في الاسexual؟ No, of course not. لأن الاسexual reproduction all the new individual coming typical to the parent cells. يبقى here this is the last part in our episode for today and our last part in our curriculum in the first term. Hoping to see you next time inshallah, and goodbye.